One house is full of good guys, while the other has, well, mostly bad ones.
He has burst into tears.
But they were all hella fun on the set of Harry Potter, and now it's time for us to decide who was more humorous. From crazy scares to epic fails.
Nearly killed the poor man.
And non-stop giggles. Let the magic begin. After all, the set was full of it, not only for the characters, but for the actors too.
I love magic.
It might look like Daniel Radcliffe started developing his magical abilities at an early age, like here, for example.
Get a snake and turn it into a whip! Yes, yes, yes! I got a whip!
But in fact, he and Rupert just had the highest sugar rush from eating all that candy.
He says we're gonna do that scene again. I might collapse.
Yeah, as if they minded eating all of those sweets. In reality, the boys were having the time of their lives and nothing could really faze them. Not even a scary-looking goblin screaming at the top of his lungs.
Look me in the eye when I'm talking to you!
Wasn't that frightening?
It did not have the desired effect at all. He just burst out laughing.
However, Dan was terrified for real a few times, like when he was practicing Quidditch with Tom Felton, aka his arch-nemesis Draco Malfoy. At first, everything seemed to be going well, but then...
Whoops. You call me a wuss? No, I said whoops, rather.
That's a really petrified face.
I didn't. No, I promise.
Let's hope that he didn't get in trouble. But another person on the set scared Dan even more. It was Alan Rickman, who did an amazing job portraying Snape.
I was constantly having to remind myself that it was, it's only a film, it's only a film, it's only a film, it's only a film, nothing's real. But it was terrifying.
Rupert was especially frightened when he was drawing a doodle of Snape and the actor caught him.
Alan Rickman was standing right behind me and I was so scared.
Meanwhile, Tom couldn't even talk to the actor at first.
So it took me about 6 years to flat out the courage to say anything more than, "Good morning, Alan."
And on one occasion, Felton was right to be afraid of Rickman. While filming a scene, Draco had to walk right behind Snape. And before they started, Alan said sternly to Tom,
Don't step on my cloak.
"How would you respond to that?"
Death Eaters and I looked at each other and thought, is he joking?
But no, the actor was dead serious.
Next take, the director was very keen for me to walk as close as I can to Alan.
Next thing Tom knew, he'd stepped right on his cloak, and he immediately understood why Alan didn't want him to do it.
You have to bear in mind his cloak is attached round his neck. Nearly killed the poor man, but he turned around and gave me a look like he'd never, ever want to see.
So, yeah, Alan Rickman may not have been scary, but Snape in his cloak definitely was.
I'll never forget the words, "Don't step on my cloak."
Meanwhile, his colleague from Gryffindor had a similar problem at one point.
Sorry.
That looked pretty unpleasant if you ask me. But Michael Gambon wasn't too angry at Dan for stepping on his cloak. After all, the two of them were best pals at that point and even attended events together.
Me and Michael are going to go busking in Covent Garden in our costumes this weekend. It's going to be...
We're just going to keep the costumes off.
They both looked amazing in character. There's no disputing that the costume and makeup department on Harry Potter did a remarkable job. The Lucius Malfoy actor can confirm that.
Obviously I had the best hair.
You should also know that Jason Isaacs is a total chameleon. He can turn into a completely different person and back in an instant.
Out of my way, Potter.
But the moment he saw that he'd hurt Daniel with his cane...
Oh. Sorry, love. Sorry.
How sweet. Isaacs even confused his on-screen son with this transformation at least once.
Yeah, he was smiling and lovely and being Jason, and the moment they said the words action, he just turned and gripped me for the first time as Lucius. And I was terrified immediately.
At the same time, another actress also rather resembles her character. Have you heard the story of Maggie Smith meeting a young fan and getting asked a silly question?
One kid once said to me, he said, were you really a cat?
Before she knew it, the actress had channeled her inner McGonagall.
Just pull yourself together. How could I have been?
Yeah, she can certainly be frightening in real life too. Just take a look at this behind-the-scenes shot from the Goblet of Fire.
Put your right hand on my waist.
Where?
On my waist!
Okay, Professor, no need to shout. Yet it was never Smith's intention to look intimidating, unlike another actor from the franchise. Ralph Fiennes fully embraced the character of Voldemort, and he added quite a few things to spice up his performance.
I wanted him to be really as scary as it could be.
So Fiennes created a very special walk for Voldemort.
Snake-like elements to his movement. Silky, smooth, silent.
And he thought of a unique way to hold his wand.
It has a hook on it, so it can hook. I can hold my hand like that.
All his efforts paid off. The actor even saw it for himself when he walked past the young son of a script supervisor on the set.
Anyway, I passed by this little child. I just looked at this boy. He just burst into tears.
Poor kid. But that's enough about scary actors. Let's talk about one who was just as lovable as his character.
Excuse me.
The late Robbie Coltrane was unforgettable as Hagrid.
How you doing, my wee pal?
I'm good, man. How are you?
And he made his co-stars laugh every day on the set with his silly behavior.
Hang on, Harry.
So it's not surprising that everyone loved Robbie. Even when his antics led to numerous outtakes.
1,000, take one.
Was that 1,000? Hey! Do I smell champagne? Irate.
But Hagrid certainly didn't want to drink champagne when his hut was on fire thanks to Bellatrix Lestrange. It was a dark sequence, but behind the scenes it was surprisingly pretty goofy. And it was all because of Helena Bonham Carter. This woman is pretty insane on screen, and in real life, she's also crazy talented. Helena had a lot of fun playing Bellatrix and wanted to give as much as she could to the role.
I'm definitely milking every moment that I have. I've probably got about 4 lines. I keep on trying to give myself more lines.
This one, for example, was probably the actress's idea.
We won!
But it's so similar to what Bellatrix would do in this situation, isn't it? Thankfully, Helena doesn't have a lot in common with her character. The actress is actually pretty sweet in real life. Just look at how she stole Dan Radcliffe's heart. He was even willing to play her pet dog to make her happy.
Come on, here, boy. Come on. Come on.
Here. Here, is my dog.
So this is Dana, just
Of course, they were only joking around, and Helena actually loved and respected her co-star. She constantly gushed about him.
You've got so much more handsome. He's really grown into a man.
Now, tell me, wouldn't you melt if Helena said something like that about you? And do you know what the craziest day on the set for her was? It was during the Deathly Hallows, when they filmed the Golden Trio breaking into Gringotts, and Hermione was disguised as Bellatrix. To film this scene, Helena had to behave like Hermione trying to behave like the evil Lestrange. Quite a case of Bellaception, if you ask me. To prepare for the scene, Carter had to work with Watson a lot.
You have to call me Emma.
I'm sorry, Emma.
Yeah, it went as far as that. But all their efforts were worth it as the scene came out perfectly. And speaking of Emma, for some reason while filming the Deathly Hallows, the darkest movies in the franchise, she just couldn't stop laughing. Even the tiniest things would set her off, like slurping, for example.
The slightest little slurp, Emma was gone.
I just couldn't keep it together.
Who would have thought that this serious scene would require so many takes?
Red card, Emma Watson.
On another occasion, the actress had a hard time imagining a huge snake that was supposed to attack her.
Snake! Finger! Snake!
What am I doing with the finger? Sorry.
Well, you can actually understand her confusion, because there was obviously no snake on the set, just the director yelling, "Snake!" And it was tough for Emma to figure out what to do next.
Sorry, what am I doing? The snake's...
The snake's coming at it. Bingo.
So let's not be too hard on her for ruining these takes. Now it's time for your verdict. Who was funnier in the Harry Potter bloopers, Gryffindors or Slytherins? Share your answer in the comments below. And if you want to see more gag reels from the franchise, check out our other videos.